fifth MMA fight of the night. This is going to the 160-pound weight class with a record of 1-0. From Indian Land, South Carolina, fighting out of Triumph MMA. Please welcome Mike Bullock.
Let's see if Triumph Academy can keep going. I do know Mike won his last by rear naked choke in the first. I believe it was the first round.
Against an absolute choker. Like one of those guys that shouldn't have been in there for sure. So, I was excited for Mike to come back. Much more of a legitimate test for him this time. But, this is a guy who works relentlessly hard. Former, service member of our country, came back, has faced issues with addiction and all these other things that, if you follow him on social media, you know that he's big on this journey that he's on. He's a big believer in himself and what he's been through. And
he's very transparent on social media.
Exactly, yeah. He's not afraid to be that way. And I feel like that's something we need more, men in MMA that are willing to be a little bit more transparent about the things they go through and the reasons why they fight.
It's November. It's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
100%. You hear a lot of nowadays. You hear the word, toxic masculinity thrown around very casually. I think, being transparent about men's mental health, that's positive masculinity. That's showing that you can still
we
be
heating
strong,
things up. I like the energy out here tonight. Charlotte, North Carolina.
I agree 100%. I write about it often in
got
my
so
blogs
heated in here,
on
we tripped the damn breaker tonight.
I'm a big advocate for mental health. I think men should talk about it more, and I do enjoy following Mike on social media for that purpose. And now with his opponent, Patrick Bird, out of Team Rock,
a much more experienced guy.
You just commentated for him
his
last
opponent,
week at Toro Cup.
Coming into the cage with a 1-1 record, fighting out of Team Rock in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Please welcome Patrick Bird.
I did talk a little with Patrick Bird match at Toro last weekend, and I was like, hey, I'll be doing the commentary for your fight next week. Anything you want specifically talked about? And he said that they always say that he's from Fayetteville, and even though that's where he trains, he actually hails from Hawaii. So I told him I'd make sure to get that out there for him.
Fighting out of Fayetteville by way of Hawaii, it's Patrick Bird. Just competed last weekend at Toro Cup.
Good match,
too. A great match. Now here, that's just crazy to me. Part of your fight camp is a Toro Cup match.
When I saw him on the Toro Cup card, I was like, oh my God.
Well, Tommy Kawazi and Corbin Manley, they were also supposed to be on there, and they were like, you know what? This is a little too crazy to do a grappling match right before our fight.
I never did it at pro, but at amateur, I was guilty of doing that as well. Because in my head, I was like, if I'm in danger, I'll just tap. Knowing that, accidents happen sometimes. But two great gyms for these guys with experience from both. And Mike Bullock, I love the bananas on his shorts. Oh, and we got Trey Pace and Isaiah Monroe in the corner for Patrick Bird.
Yeah, strong corner.
Amazing grapple. We got like black belt corners on both sides of the cage right now.
Doesn't get better than that.
Right, so I see that we're probably going to be looking for submissions here. I know Patrick Bird did lose by submission last weekend, but he also caught a few.
Oh, he gets a big
knocks
shot.
Him down.
He gets a big shot on Bullock, and he's in the half guard. Looks like he's working that cradle. Strong cradle with the legs, too.
Body shots after body shots from here. He's got a front headlock on him.
Usually people use the cradle as a passing tool, but we saw that Bird just kind of wanted to use it to lay down some body shots.
And then there's a very good position from Bird. Top half guard is one of the most dominant positions you can have in MMA because you're basically pinning them to the ground.
Kimura.
Bird looking for the Kimura, and he almost got a Kimura last week as well.
Mike's
trying
to get
roll,
out,
but his leg is stuck.
And his arm is getting super extended.
Oh, please don't break it.
I'm not going to look at this. I have to look at the fucking monitor down.
I know, this is terrible. His arm is bent 90 degrees behind his back. If he doesn't finish this, Bullock's shoulder is going to be...
Mike Bullock is
he gets
warrior!
Out. Wow.
He is a warrior, baby!
And Bird looking to lock up a triangle here.
Man, Bird is on that triangle.
Excellent jiu-jitsu from
now that
Patrick
is tight.
Bird. And triangles are my #1 favorite submission. He's got to pull the head, reach up and pull the head to really crunch him. If he goes back flat from here, Mike Bullock has the chance to get out. If he can get his feet in Bird's armpits or step over the head, which it looks like he's trying to do.
Oh, he's got to come up. He's got to come
Bird
up.
needs to grab that head.
He can't win down there. He's got to come up.
I won my first title with a triangle, so they're near and dear to my heart. And if he rotates his feet, pointing at his right foot needs to point outward a little bit to clinch up his angle.
Yeah, he's folded up. He's folded up and needs to be
so
out.
he doesn't quite have the angle across the neck to finish the choke. Bullock raining strikes down to Patrick Bird.
He's
and this will gas his legs if he doesn't finish. Yep, pulling the head, and it looks like Bullock's getting ready to tap.
He was thinking about it right there. I am not surprised that Bullock's trying to fight through this.
Yeah, I mean, he fought through. I thought we were going to see an arm break. I got really concerned. Dylan was almost hiding behind me on that one.
Oh man, and Bullock's fighting really. You see the legs are starting.
The
legs are starting to loosen.
Oh, it's about to pop. And Mike Bullock is out.
Wow.
And there's a good chance that Patrick Bird might have a little fatigue in his legs from trying to hold that.
Who can blame him? If you're talking about,
Bullock is now in mount.
If you're talking about two subs that don't get much closer, they don't get much closer than what we just saw. We saw one joint lock and one choke.
I thought that Kimura was in, and for the triangle, Bird just needed to angle his head to the left more and point his feet to the right, flexing the toes towards the ceiling.
And Mike's suffocating him too.
And Bullock now raining strikes down from this mount. Patrick Bird is just covering up, holding on now. It looks like we are going to see a round two incredibly after some resilience from Bullock. I cannot even believe what we are watching.
Ooh, boy.
Amazing, amazing first round.
What a round. Relentless submission attacks from Patrick Bird.
He almost got a Kimura last week as well.
I know.
That couldn't finish that one
Very
either.
different scenarios led to them not working. I would say that 99.9% of people out there would have tapped to that first round Kimura attempt from Patrick Bird.
I mean, the whole crowd was wincing.
Yeah.
Like, it was not just us.
But Mike Bullock is that one-of-one type of dude who just refused to tap. He was going to leave that shoulder and that arm in that cage if he had to. And finds himself immediately in a triangle, fights out of that. I mean, what a back and forth fight. And for the round to end the way it did with Mike on top, I don't even know how you score that one.
Right, Bird had he had a knockdown, and then he had grappling control. He had about 2 minutes and 40 seconds of ground control, transitioning from two different submission attempts that were like you said, 99.9% of people would have tapped from. And Bullock lasted the whole time, came up in the last 12 seconds to be in mount, raining down strikes. So let's see how this round turns out. Bullock probably going to look to try and keep it standing.
Man, Bullock's really loading up on that rear hand.
Yep. And Patrick trying to close distance, looking for a takedown. Gets clipped a little by the right hand of Bullock. And then now Bullock looking for a takedown of his own, presses Bird against the cage here.
The hands are locked. He just needs to pull him back and suck him in.
Bird's keeping pressure on Bullock's head down, and Bullock is able to finish the takedown because, as Dylan said, his hands were locked, which is just a very strong position to be in. Bird locks up a guillotine from here, and this is forcing Wayne to get close.
It's hard to finish arm in.
Especially, it's second round, so they're sweaty now, too.
One thing that I'm seeing kind of that I don't like is, one, obviously you need both hips to really put a stink on this, but with the arm in, you gotta put that chin into their back.
Oh, John, you just made John so happy if you heard that, because when I tell you, that is his #1 thing all the time.
I mean, every time you see a guy in the UFC like almost get taken down, jump to pull a guard in the guillotine, what do? They lay their whole back on the mat, and I'm just like, yeah, you're never gonna finish that, buddy.
100% correct on that. I would like to see Bird using this to sweep.
Yeah, that space that you see where you can see the artery on the other side, that's where the problem is for Bird. He can't close that off with just his arm squeeze.
And again, Bullock escapes that submission. Bird really would have benefited from getting a right foot butterfly hook in to get this sweep.
Yeah, but he does recover his full guard. So that's a little bit better, obviously, than being in your bottom half guard after a guillotine attempt.
And now these gentlemen are super sweaty, so this is going to make submission attempts, especially from the bottom, a little bit more difficult.
Bullock's trying to run his head to the fence. He's trying to put Bird's head in that fence so that the triangle's not a threat.
And he is successful in doing
that
so.
That should shut down the triangle for the most part. Obviously, Bird can still lock it up and spin off with grabbing a leg, but he's lost the ability now to extend on an arm or extend posture if he does lock up a triangle.
And these submission attempts are going to be exhausting and draining on the body.
100%, yes, ma'am.
Bird trying to angle out a little bit.
He tried to use a Casoto hook there.
It's very hard. If you're in guard, you have to be cutting angles in order to set up attacks, whether any offensive maneuver, whether it's a sweep or a submission.
That's what makes that moving against the fence so powerful. It really limits.
Bullock's doing a great job pitting him against the fence and staying linear to him, like directly in a parallel line, so that Bird cannot cut his angles and start setting up attacks. Very likely that they might get stood up here.
I always tell my guys if they get their head against the fence in full guard to open their full guard and try to wall walk now.
All of our previous fights ended with stoppages, and I am so surprised this one hasn't.
I mean, we've seen so many near falls in this one, right? Like,
and Bird smiling as he walks back to his corner, probably thinking, what do I got to do to finish this guy and get him to tap?
I know it. I will say he's gotten a little, he has slowed down a little bit, but I'm very surprised with his ability to, like, he's not breathing hard. You know, he was squeezing earlier, but he wasn't squeezing hard enough to really tire himself out.
Yeah, not like he was with the triangle.
Right.
So his arms should still have some energy and strength and vigor to them. But what respect I have for Bullock. And here we go for another super exciting round 3. It looks like Bullock has a little bit of blood coming out his nose. Got a little hello from Bird there after our talk at Toro Cup last week.
There hasn't been a lot of striking in this.
No, and that's why I'm surprised that I do see some blood in the
Well, he was
clipped
Bullock in that first punch of the fight. It really did clip him.
And they're both, again, trying to come in for the clinch. This looks like a very just aggressive and violent grappling match.
Bird's lost a lot of stink on his punches now, too.
Right, and and Bullock gets the knockdown primarily because Bird's foot was way up in the air, and Bird looking for another arm in guillotine here.
Can't finish it standing with that back on the fence.
Yeah, the back against the fence is going to prevent him from getting the leverage he needs.
Oh.
Bullock trying to grapevine the leg here and pull it out. One of my favorite techniques, but it's difficult to do when your head's down. Now we got a full guillotine.
Now this is way deadlier.
And in the position that you want with the shin across the belt line, the other leg around the back so they can't roll free. This is exactly how and he gets the tap in the 3rd round. Beautiful technique on that guillotine, exactly like Dylan and I said, the way you want to finish it. Patrick Bird finally able to lock up the sub against the very resilient
This was a beautiful switch off. He switched from the arm in to no arm, and that's usually enough to where even if your chin's not completely touching it back, you can finish, but he's not flat on the mat. He's curled up in. Yes. He's getting the crunch.
As soon as he rolled to that right elbow, it was over. There's just no fighting out of that. And to his credit, Bullock fought.
Phenomenal fight.
Yeah.
A phenomenal fight for both guys.
Well, we are at 5 fights and 5 finishes. Unbelievable.
Shout outs to Marcelo.
Your winner by referee stoppage due to a guillotine. Fighting out of the blue corner, Patrick Bullock.
Absolutely amazing fight.
Isaiah and CJ. I mean, it doesn't get much more jiu-jitsu than that.
I was going to say the level of skill that's in the octagon right this second is unparalleled.